Welcome back to another episode of the MacRumors Show. Hartley, all right, I got to ask you. First off, how are you doing? I would like
I'm
to
doing well. I'm tired.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of writing.
I am also very tired, but all for good reason, right? How do you feel now that the event has come and gone? You said you were more excited about this event than you have been in a long time. Did that hold up post-event?
I think so. I think that the only thing that was a bit of a letdown was the Apple Watch. But everything else I was really quite impressed by. Certainly AirPods Pro 3, I feel like are going to be a bit of a sleeper hit. iPhone Air really speaks for itself and I think goes further than a lot of us thought. And obviously the iPhone 17 Pro models seem to have some surprises as well.
So the Apple Watch Series 11 didn't even get like a formal introduction, which was kind of hilarious. They just went into it and they're like, here's all the stuff. And like Ultra 3 got an introduction. I can't remember if SE3, like they make those like product videos and stuff. Like I don't think the Series 11 got anything. It just went immediately into it. Ultra 3 did get one, but then I don't think the SE3, which by the way, huge upgrade, I feel, if you're coming from a 2. Like it is basically a Series 9.5 to me, kind of, right? Does that make sense?
Pretty much. You're now getting the always-on display. The display is brighter. You're getting a lot more of the sort of ambient health features. Yes, you still don't have ECG or blood oxygen, but it does support the new sleep score feature.
Sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea detection, yes. It's got the S10 chip. Which is currently the latest generation Apple Watch chip. There is no new Apple Watch chip for the first time ever this year. Yeah. So I think that is a pretty great deal. The only thing that's a little bit of a disappointment to me is that it's still using the design of the Apple Watch Series 4, which to me feels a little bit dated. And it would have been nice to see that move up to at least the design of the Series 7, considering that Apple redesigned it with the Series 10. It would have been time for that, but maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe in a few years. All right, let's start at the top. And Apple started with the AirPods Pro 3, and I got to try them out at Apple Park. So I got to test them, got to put the new, and I even got to try out the heart rate sensor, which I'm very happy is not much better, but seems to be much more useful than how it was with Power Beats. In the fact that you can basically do what I asked. I wanted to be able to start a workout like you could on your watch, but use your AirPods. And I'm like, your only way you can really do that is on your phone. So it supports over 50 workout types, or at 50 workout types, I believe is the number. And you could just go, there's a new tab in the health app then, or not the health app, the fitness app. Down at the bottom, you just click on workouts and you have the list like you would on your Apple Watch. So now you basically don't need an Apple Watch and you can still close your rings, get credit for the exercise minutes, count your steps, and know what your heart rate is. And it shows up in Apple TV Plus, I'm getting all these names mixed up. The Fitness Plus, when you're working out on the TV, it shows up all of that. And I got to test it and it seems fine. It worked, I guess. I didn't really have anything else to reference it to, but I'm guessing it's just as good. And if you're wearing an Apple Watch and have AirPods, I guess it does kind of use everything to give you the most accurate reading. So it'll use both at the same time, which was a useful piece of information that I did not gather from the keynote right away.
I was actually unaware of that.
Yes, I can confirm that is a piece of information that I heard.
Okay.
I don't know how to say it without, I'm not allowed to like say specific things, but
that is
from
good,
what I've gathered,
that certainly goes further than Beats. And I think that the way you can kick off a workout from your watch, from your iPhone without needing your watch is a really simple feature, but actually it goes a long way. Certainly for me over the past 18 months or so, I've got into wearing more mechanical watches. And there are situations, maybe if I'm getting the train into London and I'm wearing a mechanical watch, I don't have my Apple Watch with me, when I do wish I could take my heart rate. If I'm then walking at the other end, I want to start a workout. There are plenty of scenarios where I would like to be able to do that. And now I can.
Yeah. Or like, I don't know. Sometimes I've gone out for like a walk or, gone to work and you forget your watch, but you have your AirPods. Like now you have that ability to do that. And so that's great. If you have something nearby, you don't have to worry about, I got to go get my watch. It's upset. Like just go. You got your AirPods, you're good to go. Obviously, if you need something more advanced and your watch can do it, well, then that obviously isn't going to help with the AirPods. But for the most part, and most of the things that I would do where I'd want to get credit for, the AirPods can handle it, which is quite nice. And I like the new live activity that now comes with it. And I think this is also for the watch as well. But now you'll see a live activity on your phone and you can see your heart rate going on, basically your rings and what you're doing. So that's a nice little touch that I don't believe I saw at all beforehand. And then what are the other things? Oh, so what happens with rumors, by the way, which we're in the rumor business, so we love it. But I also am in the business of wanting to be surprised at these events, and we're not. And so most of the time, I would say like 90% of the information is all there. Maybe 100% of the information in the sense that it's there, the bones are correct, but some of the fine details are not. Didn't I hear that, like, I don't know if it was Gurman who said, the AirPods aren't going to have now any sound improvements or anything. Well, that's definitely not true. ANC is, I believe they said on stage, it's 2 times more, and it really was. We got to test it out. Transparency is much more natural, especially with your voices. You know how it just kind of sounds a little bit different. Everything is just strangely amplified. You still get a little bit of that, but like just it feels more natural where I can keep them on and have a conversation with somebody, and it's just not like I'm not hearing my own voice in a weird way. So that's a huge improvement. And the sound is definitely noticeable in the sense that there's a lot more low end now. Like, and it's not in a bad way. Like, you know how a lot of companies put a ton of low end. Beats used to be very, very guilty of this, and it just wasn't a good amount of low end back in the day. Well, they've improved, and it feels like Apple and Beats kind of work together to be like, all right, let's take more of, it used to be more of like a neutral sound profile, and then it like now has shifted with like that perspective, but let's add just a little bit more low end to where it's more punchy, and you can definitely feel it in certain aspects more so than the generation beforehand. So it was literally like 15 minutes, 10 minutes of me testing it out when, Apple let us do that. And so I need to clarify that I got to do more on my own, and we'll have a full review out and everything soon. But, quite impressed with it, honestly. I think it's a really good, and the new fit. Another thing that I'll tell you is that I'm more of a medium ear tip, like right out of the box default. They are now a little bit larger. Like every tip is a little bit larger. So I needed to size down to a small. And so I'm guessing that's why they included the extra small option here as well. So something to keep in mind, but I do think they fit a lot better too. Even I think that AirPods do generally fit in my ear. After a while, I can feel them starting to get a little loose and I got to like push it down. That did not happen with my time with the AirPods Pro 3 once I got the correct tip in there.
I think the move to foam tips instead of just the silicone tips is huge, really. And a lot of users have been buying foam tips since the debut of the AirPods Pro back in 2019 and buying these third-party tips. And moving to foam tips is what has enabled Apple in part to offer better active noise cancellation. And consider again, over that first generation, it's actually 4 times better ANC, which is huge. I mean, that is a dramatic difference. And already it's pretty good, but it definitely could be better. I'm really excited for that.
I'm going to have to dig out my first gen. I think that would be a good video going from each generation to see how much better it really is. Because honestly, even from the 2s, I think it's probably worth upgrading to if it's about that time, if it's not holding a charge. I mean, you're getting an extra 2 hours of battery life. I think you get like 10 hours of battery life with the hearing aid function going on, right? There's a lot of numbers being thrown out there. I haven't had a chance to really go through the battery stuff yet, but at some point that will happen. But yeah, first impressions overall, AirPods Pro 3, I do think it's going to sell. Obviously, they're AirPods, but it's a good upgrade in my opinion. You want to move on to watch?
Absolutely. I mean, there's really not much to say about the Apple Watch, is there?
Yeah, let's just run through it quickly. I don't know if it was, did I just mention earlier that it didn't even get its own introduction. That was on the podcast and not off the podcast.
Yeah.
When we were talking before. It's crazy. It didn't get a lot, which we, I guess, expected.
I mean, we've said for years about how the Apple Watch has increasingly become quite a small upgrade. But what I would say is that overwhelmingly and very decisively, this is the smallest Apple Watch upgrade in the history of this device. There are only 2 upgrades over the previous generation. Don't be misled into thinking that, hypertension detection or sleep score or anything is this Series 11 feature. It's not. It's actually hypertension detection, at least, is coming all the way down to the Series 9. And sleep score is actually, it's a watchOS 26 feature. I've got it right here on my Series 8 right now. Mm-hmm. So the only 2 features are 5G connectivity, which if you don't buy a cellular model, doesn't matter.
Nope.
Actually, there's 3 upgrades. I've remembered another one. The stronger Ion-X strengthened glass, which is now more scratch resistant. But again, that doesn't matter if you buy a titanium model, which has the sapphire crystal glass. And lastly, what was the third one?
I don't know. That's how bad this is. No offense to the Apple Watch team, but there's really nothing. If it's,
I had it and then I lost it. It was on the tip of my tongue there.
It's not satellite messaging. That's Ultra. Or is that everything?
No, there's one
Ultra,
more.
Right?
There's definitely one more.
I can look it up while you consider to ponder. But I mean, yeah, it's not an upgrade. It's not those for.
That's really annoying me now that I can't remember it.
I'll find it for you. Also, the sleep score thing. So is this Apple like learning that they shouldn't announce something before it's completely finished? Because why wouldn't they just bring this up at iOS during the watchOS 26?
I guess it just wasn't ready.
Are you thinking of 24 hours of battery life? Because that's
battery life. That's it.
Yeah.
It's battery life. But the reason why it's questionable whether this is an upgrade is because the way that Apple is actually calculating battery life is different now. So the battery is effectively the same size and it's got the same chip. So there's no improvements really going on here. What Apple's done is it's including sleep monitoring in that calculation, whereas it wasn't before. But if you like, the battery life is longer.
I guess.
So I don't really count that. So
it's a pretty bad upgrade. It's because let me rephrase this, because I'm going to keep saying that, and it's not good if you have like any of the last 2 years.
I mean, it's baffling to me in that, let's say you bought a Series 10 in titanium last year.
Yeah.
And then you bought a Series 11 in titanium now. And maybe you don't use cellular. I have a stainless steel watch and I don't use cellular. There are no upgrades. Not one. Because the stronger glass isn't on that model. And if you don't use the cellular, then you don't get 5G. And the battery life improvement is mainly down to how the battery has been calculated. So what are you actually paying for? Literally not one feature, which is crazy to me. And I don't think we've ever had a situation like this before.
Yeah, can they even legally write new next to the titanium models?
I mean, they are.
There's got to be a change somewhere.
They've got a 5G antenna.
Okay, that's it.
So that is the single hardware difference on the titanium model, at least. But I mean, how many people even use you don't browse on your watch, you don't watch video on your watch. Even people that do use cellular on their watch don't do those things. So the upgrade to 5G is really not going to change anything. That's more of a necessity because 4G is being phased out. So Apple had to move the watch to 5G sometime, but a very unexpectedly small upgrade for the watch.
Even, I mean, now that you put it in this perspective, I'm looking at the Ultra, like what is really that? I mean, I guess because the Ultra didn't get the stuff that the Series 10 had. So it's not new tech that's, it's not like something Apple hasn't done before, except for the satellite messaging, I guess. Well, that is a iPhone feature, but it's all coming down to it.
I can't knock the Ultra in the same way, because the fact is, if you're upgrading even from an Ultra 2, you can point to a variety of features.
Sure. Right.
It has got a slightly larger display. That display is also brighter. It also is wide angle OLED. And it also supports a higher refresh rate when it's when your wrist is down. You add satellite connectivity to that and the newer chip, which, I mean, it's not going to give you better performance, but it is the S10 instead of the S9. That is an upgrade. I can accept that is a bunch of features. They probably won't change your life, but you are getting something for your money there. Whereas if you go from a Titanium Series 10 to a Titanium Series 11, I mean, you're getting literally the 0 scratched out of the back and a 1 put on there, and that's it.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, there's nothing groundbreaking with the watch in terms of, like, Apple came up with something new that hasn't been done before. There's a lot of features that they brought over from the Series 10 from last year. Obviously from the iPhone, we have satellite messaging, so that's on here. Like, it's stuff that has existed in some capacity. So that's where I'm kind of like, if they're not boring, they're good. Like, this is a good upgrade if you're coming from the 1 for sure. And even the 2 in some aspects, because the 2 wasn't really a upgrade at all. Do we even call it? I mean, I guess we do call it a 2, but like, it wasn't much to it. No offense, or no pun intended. But like, I'm just looking through here and it's just like, it's all stuff that we've seen before. So I guess it's hard for me to get excited, but I'm sure there's tons of people out there who are going to upgrade. Maybe.
The thing
I would be curious to see how many people have this watch.
It really is nowadays for people that are upgrading across generations, with where the upgrades stack up. So certainly if you're coming from an Apple Watch Ultra 1 to an Ultra 3, that's a pretty okay upgrade, actually. There are enough new features that you're getting stacked up from the Ultra 2 there, including things like the double tap gesture, and the wrist flick gesture as well that came last year. You're also getting the media playback, as well as features like hypertension detection, which of course are available on the Ultra 2, but not available on the Ultra 1. So all of this does stack up to be largely worthwhile, I would say.
It's just
but
crazy
just
to me
definitely
that
not a generation over generation upgrade.
It's just crazy to me that all the stuff like on the Ultra 3 page are things that were here before, like possible sleep apnea, take an ECG anytime, high heart rate notifications, take your menstrual cycle. Like, it's all, they're advertising things that have existed for years in other watches, not as if they're new, but like, here's all the other things you can do. I've just never seen that before. Apple doesn't typically, with the new release, talk about all the other features that have been around for years.
So I have an Apple Watch Series 8, and I was intending to upgrade this year. That is now no longer going to happen.
No, why? That's actually a pretty big jump for you, though.
Because I feel I've missed the boat. So I feel like if I was going to upgrade, I should have done it last year, or I may as well wait till next year. But to get a Series 11, like, why do that?
Yeah, you should wait till the 12 at this point, because surely the 12 has to be something bigger than what we've had, right? Although I can't make any promises.
I think it's got to be, but I think what we're learning here is that Apple Watch upgrades are slowing down, and it's a matter of time before Apple needs to move it away from an annual cycle, because there's just not enough hardware to offer here. I mean, back in the days of like the Series 3, Series 4, these were really substantial upgrades, but now it does feel like things have really slowed down a huge amount. And I'm not being down on it. I mean, definitely when I upgrade, there will be a lot. And
I mean, go ahead.
There will be a lot, but it's clear that the emphasis in this event was not the Apple Watch.
No, but it's still one of Apple's best products. We might be down on it from a perspective of a year-over-year tech, enthusiast. It's our job to cover it. So it's like, there's just not a lot there. But if you are somebody who has a Series 8 and you need a new watch or would like to get a new watch, and especially if you have something older, any of these are going to feel like a pretty substantial upgrade. It's just the year-over-year thing, because that's where we come from. We come from talking about last year's a lot to this year's. And it's just, the Series 11's borderline criminal, but the other two at least have some pretty big changes.
The SE is worth it.
Yes,
let's jump to that. Worth it.
Let's jump to that one.
because the SE first came out. The SE2 was 2022. So at this point, that's a 3-year-old watch. And I think the upgrades are substantial enough that if you're upgrading from an SE2, that is worth it generation over generation. And especially if you're an SE1 user, watch isn't even supported anymore.
No. I find it crazy that you get a lot of these, like you said, these background health features. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of things that you can do on the SE3. And if you're somebody who's like, oh, I don't know that I need any of that, well, you're going to get it anyway. So you can, know what your temperature is, the risk score, the sleep score. You've got all the motion sensors that you need to track your steps and get your workouts going. So it's kind of the perfect watch for the person who's never had one. The kids, it's $249, which is crazy. I don't think there's any watch in that price point that can beat this, correct? From any other brand.
I mean, Samsung is offering some of its watches for below $200, I believe.
And some of their watches are pretty good, I'll be honest with you.
But I think that in terms of ecosystem, the Apple Watch is such a polished experience. And I think the industry is dominated by the Apple Watch still. It owns the market, similar to the iPad. So while there are other options available, if you've never had a smartwatch before, I would absolutely encourage people to get an Apple Watch SE.
I agree. There's fall detection, crashes. I mean, you got all the stuff that you would need personally. I don't know. Is there anything on it that you're missing besides the updated design, which I think there was like a Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel episode where they were going and asking people what generation Apple Watch this is. Have you seen this?
No.
It was like American late night television here, where they did like a man on the street type deal, and they pulled a person aside and was like, "Can you tell me which actually wasn't in the street? I think it was in their studio. Which Apple Watch this is?" And they just showed a picture, like the promotional image, and every one of them was almost wrong, except for like the first gen, which, I mean, kind of hard to not. Well, even then, though, the first 3 generations pretty much look the same, right? So, I think it's for the average person who's looking into the SE3. I don't know that you'll notice that it doesn't look like the 7 unless you knew what the 7 looked like.
Yeah, I agree. It just feels a little bit dated in terms of the design, but I mean, otherwise, I think it's a great watch.
You know what doesn't feel dated in terms of the design? The new iPhones, unless you're talking about the iPhone 17, which I'll give it its 5 minutes. It is a pretty big upgrade if you're coming from like a 15. I mean, I guess there are some things on the 16. It's hard because the displays are significantly improved. You've got go ahead.
So I think that probably this is the biggest upgrade for the entry level iPhone in the lineup, not in the whole lineup because we have still got the iPhone 16e, but in terms of the new iPhones, probably the biggest for as long as I can remember, because the device is redesigned. It is larger. You've got a larger display and the device itself is larger. You've got considerably longer battery life now. ProMotion, a brighter display, Ceramic Shield 2, the new chip as well. And also even the upgrade of the ultra wide to 48 megapixels. Then there's the new front facing camera. I mean, we've come a pretty long way from devices like the iPhone 14, which were these non-phones that were just a rebadged iPhone 13 with the same chip.
The more I keep thinking about the 17, because it didn't get a lot of time. It certainly didn't get a lot of time post-event from anyone. No one cared. Everyone ran to the Air and to the Pro, which we'll get to in a minute. But the more I do think about it, even from the 16's perspective, like all the things that you just mentioned, that is a pretty significant upgrade, even year over year, but certainly anything older. And if you want 2 cameras instead of just one, I mean, don't look at the Air then. You got to look at the 17. It's a good device, honestly. It's a really good entry point to the iPhone. I think everybody would be happy with it. And it's hard because we say average people don't care about ProMotion, but like once you use it and once you have it, it's really hard to go back.
It's time for ordinary users to have that feature. And I think that there definitely is a group of people that the iPhone 16e isn't quite enough and still feels a little bit budget with the notch, the single camera, and want just a tiny bit more. But they don't need a Pro device. For those people, I think the iPhone 17 is a great proposition and puts the entry-level iPhone in probably the strongest position it's been in that I can remember. Certainly going back to, certainly in the whole time that there has been this whole idea of like the standard iPhones and the Pro iPhones.
Let's quickly talk about the camera, the front-facing camera, because this is something that all the iPhones have, and then we'll transition into the rest. But it was shown off with the standard model first, right? So that's where we'll go with it. This is huge. Like this, I'm not a big selfie person, but my wife is, and we're constantly doing. And I can't tell you how many times I'm like, my arms are not long enough to stretch out and get more of it. Like I can't do this. And I feel really awkward and don't want to take a landscape one all the time. The fact that the sensor is now square cropped and that you can take a selfie in 4 different, basically like orientations or different, I don't even know how they described it, but having the ability to have 4 different types of crops is what it is. Without having to move your hand, you just take a picture and you can set it into an auto like AI mode that they have to it, to where if it recognizes that there are a lot more people in your frame that you're trying to capture, it'll then switch between, standard vertical to a wide angle, or not wide angle, a landscape, etc. So that's a huge feature that I think you're going to start seeing other phones copy.
And also it enables center stage.
Well,
which has never been on the iPhone before.
Yes. Now, we haven't seen. No one demoed that for us, like the actual center stage part where you're moving around. It's like tracking you type deal.
We've used it enough on other devices, so
but it's almost like
that experience.
It just like wasn't that, like they said center stage camera, but they didn't show that. They only showed like the crops and stuff. So like you kind of forget that is what center stage is for the most part. But it almost made it seem like, oh no, this is a new version of center stage where like it can do all this other stuff, which is true in a sense, but.
When we heard this rumored, it was rumored as a 24 megapixel camera.
Yes.
And I was quite excited for better quality images from that
18.
camera. But it's 18 and then it's cropped down.
Yeah.
So I am intrigued to see whether the purpose of this was to enable those features rather than to actually deliver better image quality. Which is still good. It's still an upgrade, and it was time to give the iPhone's front-facing camera, certainly to give it center stage and a resolution bump. The square sensor is great for people that do want to take landscape selfies. I am not one of those people. Afterwards, after the event, I reflected, when was the last time I took a landscape selfie? And I actually can't remember when I last did that.
It's not necessarily, that is useful for when you do have a ton of people, but like, then I had comments like, well, how am I supposed to post that to, social media where it's not landscape and it needs to be in a vertical orientation? And I can say, because cropping it back is just going to defeat the purpose. But the other 2 portions of they showed there's 4 different images. So you have your normal vertical, that would be uncropped, natural. Then you have your normal landscape, but then there were like wider field of view versions of that. So you do get a slightly wider vertical orientation photo because it's a wider sensor, it's a wider lens. It is able to capture more people just naturally out of that. So like, I don't know. It is an upgrade for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's a pretty cool feature.
I was sitting there thinking, oh, it's going to be 24 megapixels, and they never said it during the initial. They didn't show the number during the first introduction of this camera. And she said nearly 2 times larger. So I'm like, oh, it's got to be 24, like just under, and they're just rounding up. And then they go off and talk about the other one. They're like, oh, it's 18. I'm like, that's a pretty big jump there. Like it's in the middle of what you basically had before. So,
and then you're cropping. And that's why I wouldn't say I'm concerned, because I'm still very happy to have this upgrade. and it will be useful to me without doubt. But I'm really interested to see the comparisons of image quality from this, because I had high hopes, let's say, and I feel like it's focused more on software features and such as this sort of AI rotation mode, which again, someone like me, I'm going to just turn that off. I don't want my front-facing camera rotating. I never want to capture any selfies that are in landscape. At least, probably almost never. I feel like we're going to be at the MacRumors retreat next year, and you're going to catch me taking like a landscape.
I'm gonna call you out,
and you're gonna call me out on it. So I'm just saying now, almost never.
I'm gonna take a video of you doing this and be like,
put me to shame.
He's lying. Okay, he is lying. I'm just trying to look at this here, make sure we didn't miss anything. All right, so I mean that's pretty much the iPhone 17. There are some new colors. How do you feel about colors? Is another big portion of our life in this podcast. So how do you feel about the 17 colors? Lavender, sage. I like sage. Sage is nice.
I think they're pretty good. I think the blue is really nice this year. It's neither too dark nor too light. It always goes over really well. But I feel
looks like the iPad.
Yeah, it does. Apple is so experienced now in delivering a popular, decent, yet somewhat exciting color palette now every year that there's really no complaints from me.
Yeah. So, just looking at the camera. So the four, just real quick, I want to mention, just to clarify, the four orientations is more of like four field of views, basically. So like it's basically the equivalent of hitting that expand button. So you can do it with the landscape selfie as well, but you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. Using the AI mode, it'll just kind of do it for you. But you're going to turn that off because you do not care. You do get stabilized video on the front-facing camera too, and
that's quite cool.
That is cool, and we didn't talk about the dual capture mode, which technically they didn't mention. I actually don't know when they mentioned it. I think it was during the Air portion.
Oh yeah, I think
they did, but it wasn't during. I hate when they do that. Like if you're going to talk about the new and improved camera and it's across all of it, just do all the features in one presentation. Don't spread them out, because then it's hard for us to pay attention. It's already hard for us to pay attention when you're writing, I'm recording, and trying to upload to social media. You miss so much. Like you almost have to watch these portions again. But dual capture video, that was a heavily rumored feature. It is not something that was impossible to do on the iPhone. You could do it with other third-party apps, but it's nice that it's now baked into the actual phone itself. And so now when you see, if you aren't following me or Hartley on Instagram, I highly suggest it. But if you do follow me on Instagram, you will know that the only thing I do in my life is go to concerts. And so I'm going to film, I'm going to now film my reaction to what I'm seeing, so you all can see my big dumb face and the band that I'm watching. The iPhone Air was the next biggest thing that Apple announced, and it got in the audience that I was in amongst creators and journalists. It got a pretty loud applause / cheer / groans from the crowd when they saw it. It's everything that we thought it was going to be. I actually think it's a little bit better than some of the rumors were suggesting. I'm a little concerned about how the titanium is going to hold up with the overheating portion of what could happen. But the A19 Pro is supposed to be more efficient with thermals in and of itself, apparently. But yeah, I picked it up. I held it. It is wildly thin and light. Very similar reactions to the S25 Edge when I held that for the first time, but just running iOS. And I do feel like it's a little more elegant. Sorry, Samsung. I do think that's a really good phone. I really like the S25 Edge. I just feel like Apple did a better job in making this feel more premium. Does that make sense?
I totally agree. I think it was quite a jaw-dropping presentation, actually, and Apple pitched it perfectly. An
awe-dropping presentation.
There we go. And I feel like it clearly is positioned as the luxury iPhone, the premium iPhone, certainly in how it looks with those polished titanium edges. And I think it looks better than we were expecting it to look as well, just in the finish of the device. I will say that battery life is better than I was expecting it to be. It supposedly has the same battery life as the iPhone 16 Pro, which is pretty good, and that's not even including the MagSafe battery pack.
Some people were saying the Plus, but it's the Pro, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
I heard a lot of
27 hours.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people, even at the event, and people, Apple employees were in the area listening to this conversation, and no one corrected like anyone. So I was under the impression it was always Pro, but I heard people saying Plus. I'm like, if it's the Plus, that was last year dubbed as the best battery life in an iPhone ever at the time. So I'm like, how is that possible? But even the Pro, which I'm comparing this to the Pro Max, was not very great in battery life, but like it's still serviceable and it got through,
well, I have an iPhone 16 Pro and the battery life is dramatically better than the 15 Pro. It was worth my upgrade from the 15 Pro to the 16 Pro just for battery life. So if the Air can deliver the same battery life as this device, I think people will be very happy with it.
Right. And so like maybe that's the expectations that are like that were set before with all these rumors saying that it was going to have like a 2,800 milliamp hour battery and it was going to be so bad that they had made an adaptive power mode and there's a MagSafe battery, which by the way, that's all true. There is an adaptive power mode, which you should probably use if you want to save your battery. And there is a very specific iPhone Air MagSafe battery pack that can only be used really on the Air. Now, yes, it's going to charge because it's all the same charging standards, but it cannot fit on other phones except for maybe the Pro Max. I think it can fit on there, but it's like not the best.
There's overhang.
There is overhang. It is very specifically designed for the Air and its dimensions, which is why we are saying you should probably only buy it for the Air and Air only. Another thing we didn't mention real quick, it is called the iPhone Air, no 17 to it. So this leads me to believe that it's not leading me to believe. It is its own product. It has nothing to do with the 17 lineup from a marketing perspective. Does that sound correct to you?
I agree. And I think that this is an indication that the numbers are never going away. Because although this device doesn't have numbers, you can bet the next year it'll be the iPhone Air 2, and then the iPhone Air 3, and then the iPhone Air 4. And we'll keep doing that for another decade until we start calling it something else. I also expect, actually, that the Pro will eventually go away, and that will become something else like the Ultra. So then we will, in a few years' time, have the iPhone Air 4 and the iPhone Ultra 2. And these other numbers will have gone away.
The iPhone Ultra could be the Fold. I mean,
that's my expectation. I think that what Apple is doing here is it is setting up for how the lineup will be positioned in the future. And I think the Pro is going to be gone. I think the entry-level iPhone is also going to be gone. I think that the way it will go is that eventually the Fold will get more and more Pro to the point where it will totally eclipse what is offered as a Pro device, and sales will shift so heavily toward that device that the Pro will be phased out. And the Air itself, alongside the Pro, will become more and more entry-level.
So I'm sorry, you were cutting out a little bit there for me. Hopefully it was not cutting out in the actual recording, but you're saying the Air is going to start outselling the standard Pro?
I'm saying the Air is eventually going to take the place of the entry-level 17 or next year's 18.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's also not going to be upgraded until April either. So like March, April, right? We're expecting now this 17 to go a year and a half just for this one, correct? Because now it's going to start going into
that's a really good point, actually.
Yeah, so that's weird. This isn't the only time that's going to happen, because then it'll go back to yearly, but it'll be March, April, springtime, year over year that way, correct?
Yes. So everything will start to change next year.
Yeah. So if you like that 17, you better love it, because it's going to be your thing for the next year and a half. So going back to the Air, it also doesn't, I think it'll be upgraded yearly, but it also leaves them room by not giving it a number right now. It leaves them room to not update it yearly. Like they might not have to update it yearly if they don't want to. If there's not any huge advancement, I think they will. But I'm just saying it kind of gave them the wiggle room to be like, here are the new iPhone 19 Pro, Pro Max, and it comes alongside our new foldable, and you still have the Air, which has now been reduced to $899. Is that a great price? Like they could do that if they wanted to and give themselves some more time, but I think it'll be upgraded yearly. Anyways, the phone itself is pretty remarkable in the hand. It feels super light without feeling cheap, which is hard to do. I am surprised they polished the frame. It is still titanium, but it definitely gives you like somewhat stainless steel vibes. The colors there are like three similar colors to me. The blue, the white, and the gold, all in specific lighting, could look exactly the same. And the only way that you could, like, I'm looking back at footage that I shot, and I'm trying to post, like, I posted a short of all the colors, and I'm trying to figure out which one was which because I can't remember when I shot it. And I was having a really hard time. I had to zoom into the frame because, like, the gold looks white on the back, but then when you look at the frame, that has more gold. The blue, same thing. The same with the cloud white. And this, I love the space black personally. Which one would you pick if you had to go with an iPhone Air?
I'm boring, so I would just pick silver.
We're going to have a talk about the iPhone 17 Pro Max in silver, by the way. But we'll get to it in a couple minutes here. But with the Air, I really wish this wasn't the year that Apple came out with an orange iPhone 17 Pro Max, because I would run with the Air for a while because I'm so intrigued by that phone. I think I would love it. If it had one more camera, I think that would be my main phone, and I wouldn't even look at the pros at all. But would you be able to do it? Would you try it?
I have been debating this since the announcement, and I certainly am more tempted by it than I thought I would be. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think that I can be without the telephoto camera, especially in the year that the telephoto camera is getting this huge upgrade.
So much better.
I love the telephoto camera. I love it on every iPhone that has had that camera since it debuted on, what was it, the iPhone 7. And I have loved having that lens. I think if you were to look through my photos library, probably 50% of all of the photos in that library have been taken on an iPhone's telephoto camera. So with it moving to 48 megapixel and with it now having the 4 times crop and the 8, which I think is the perfect balance, that gives you everything you need.
I was thinking about you. You don't have the 5X anymore. You go back down a little bit, a little happy medium between the 3 and the 5 that we used to have.
It's perfect. It means I can get my nice sort of close-up portraits. I like that depth of field you get, but then also sometimes being able to have that extra throw, particularly say with a landscape where you just need to get closer. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So considering I love that part of the iPhone so much, I think I probably like it and use it more than the average iPhone user, actually. For me to not buy that device this year probably wouldn't make sense. But otherwise,
pull up the iPhone Air promo images. It just looks so good.
It does look so good. And I really like the bumper cases as well.
Oh, bring back bumper cases. That was my audible moment. Like, no one was saying anything, but in the crowd, like, they cheered for all these other things. I saw the bumper cases and I was like, I completely have amnesia with bumper cases and totally forgot that those existed at one point. Why are we not bringing those back? I want more bumper cases. Give me some for the Pro Max.
I mean, if these sell well, maybe we'll see them on other devices. This was a big year for accessories. We've got the crossbody strap now too. We've got tech woven and new colorways, obviously, across the board.
They're still fine woven, just in the wallets. I don't understand Apple at all. I don't know what they're doing. They just have to they need to get rid of their stock of fine woven. So they're like, we're just going to make new colors. It's fine. Okay. Is there anything else that I don't want to do a disservice to the Air because it is it's $999. That I don't love because it puts you in a weird position with the Pro and the Pro Max, because there is a phone in 2 different directions that is arguably better than the Air in most circumstances, from a specs perspective, at least. There are some it trades blows with the 17. It's got some things that are better and obviously some things that aren't. And then it's basically the Pro is better. So why wouldn't you go to that and get 3 cameras and do all of this? But it's mostly the form factor. And if you are somebody out there who's like, I want something that looks elegant, that looks nice, and is not taking up a massive amount of space in my pocket, isn't weighing me down in the sense that I have this big bulky thing in my pocket, but it's still a large display. Like, that is a perfect compromise. But you are going to be looking at both phones up and down in price and being like, well, why am I getting this if I can get 2 cameras on the 17 or 3 cameras and, a better chip technically, even though it is still running an A19 Pro, it has been down a little bit, and I can get the vapor chamber cooling, which we'll talk about. Like, there's a lot more stuff there. But any overall thoughts before we move on to the Pro on the Air?
I think it will be a lot more popular than perhaps we were expecting. I think a lot of pro iPhone users are going to be very tempted to buy this device, which I think is exactly what Apple wants.
Yeah. It's a good phone. I can't wait to try it out more than what I've kind of had over the last day.
I mean, it really does make the iPhone lineup start to work the same way as the MacBook lineup or the iPad lineup. I mean, to a better example really is with the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air. If you want the best looking MacBook, the most portable MacBook, you go MacBook Air. If you need actual performance, you want those extra features, and you want that longer battery life, then you end up going for a MacBook Pro. That is now the same situation the iPhone's moving to, which is why the new Pro iPhones, they do look more aggressive in their design. They do remind me more of a MacBook Pro with the unibody and the added thickness, because now Apple is looking at this and saying, well, you can now choose between whether you want a thin iPhone or a thick iPhone. That is a clear decision-making point. And either you want the fashionable design-led iPhone that is going to be lightweight with a medium-sized display, or you can be one of these users that either want a small or a big display, and you want that longer battery life, and you want a pro feature set, and you're less design-focused and more functionality-focused.
Let's just jump right into the Pro. That got another big round of like cheers and gasps when they showcased the orange one. I do really like the shade, so we can go ahead and put that to rest. The thing that got me, though, a lot of people are mad that there's no like neutral, which by the way, silver exists. That's the most neutral
but there's no black
of all time.
There's
no black.
Goodness knows how long.
I am a little disappointed in that because I thought I would have loved a black model. I think that would have looked cool. But the blue is pretty dark. So if you wanted a darker phone, like in some of there was some bad lighting when I was shooting some of the blue shots, and like it looks pretty dark. I had people ask me like, is that more black than it is? It's not. It is definitely blue, but like in some lighting, it's going to come across as a little bit darker. So I mean, that's kind of a good happy medium. That silver is really good. Like it's so boring of me after someone who's been complaining for years and wants a vibrant color, and they gave me the color I wanted in a good shade, and then I'm looking at the silver and I'm like, ooh, that is a good looking phone right there. By the way, clear case from Apple, what are we doing? Why is every single one of the glass cutouts in white? That's the only design thing that I will make fun of for Apple on this one. They've knocked everything out of the park, in my opinion, for everything else. Then they came out with clear cases, and the glass cutout of the phone, there's a glass cutout on the clear case, and they've made it all white. Why would they do that?
I think it's horrific.
Yes,
I think it's probably one of the worst looking accessories they've introduced for years, and
just make it clear.
I will be shocked if this is still on sale next year, because I think it looks that bad, and I don't know who approved that, because if you want a clear case, you want it to be clear, and if you buy maybe a dark blue iPhone and you're buying something that is Apple are even calling it deep blue because it's such a deep dark color.
Put white on it.
And then you're going to want a big white square on it, like a big sticker.
There's already a case company that tweeted out like another, like I think they'll probably just make the same case and they color matched at least like they color matched that clear portion of it and made it, instead of white, they made it orange or, silver or blue. And it looks so much better. Or you could just make it completely clear, because that's the whole point of a clear case. I
mean, Apple's clear cases up till now have been pretty good. People like
this one was not good. But anyways, The phone itself, love the design. I think it's great. People who are saying the orange is ugly, you are wrong. I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy who says your opinion is wrong, but you're wrong. And you also don't need to buy it. So what does it matter? Don't get that one. There are 2 other options and it's fine. And there are people on there that are just complaining about the design being bad. And why would they go back to aluminum? Which, by the way, I was one of those people. And after hearing more about it and after seeing why they did that and after experiencing my phone for the last 2 years become something that could quite literally burn your skin because it gets so freaking hot, I'm actually okay with going back to aluminum. The aluminum will help with the thermals, and it's needed for the now included, the way they designed everything with the vapor chamber cooling system that is in there now. I am excited to get my hands on that phone and use it and hopefully see that it's not going to become a hot box, because that's what our phones were in titanium, which is still why I'm saying, why would they not figure out a way to do that in the air? That's going to be questionable. But the design perspective, moving every bit of important component up to the plateau of the camera and the rest of it is battery, is insane. So what are your thoughts on all of that?
I think it's a really good idea. And I think long term, I actually wouldn't mind the plateau getting thicker and the rest of the phone getting thinner, so that there could be less table wobble, but you could still have the experience of a thin device in the hand. And there obviously are physical limitations to how much internal space Apple has here. So moving things in this direction, I think, makes a lot of sense. Apple's got a lot of experience in terms of miniaturizing components. Think about the AirPods and the Apple Watch. And also how much more it needs to miniaturize for things like augmented reality glasses. So if you take something like the iPhone Air and how the whole phone is inside that thin little plateau, everything except the battery is up there. The speaker, the chip, both cameras. There's very little that is in the rest of the device. That is not entirely dissimilar to the amount of space that Apple will have for a pair of smart glasses. So I think it is really setting the stage for future products, and obviously a foldable as well. And in the Pro, with that larger plateau, obviously you're accommodating 3 cameras and you're gaining space for other components that have been able to deliver a larger battery.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I think
for what it's worth, the Pro Max has a 39-hour battery now.
We need to sign a petition for Apple to stop giving us battery performance metrics via how many hours you watch videos. Who the hell is watching 39 hours of video and being like, you know what? I'm a little disappointed this year we didn't get 42 hours of playback like that. We need to stop. At some point, or if it hasn't already, I haven't had a chance to look, but somebody will come out with the official milliamp hours. I've seen a bunch of different numbers.
They're already available now, yeah. Apple had to put them on the EU version of the website.
Thank God for the EU's restrictions. So now we can get some clarity. Is it 5,000 or is it a little bit more than 5,000?
Yeah, it's a little over 5,000.
Yeah. There was like a Chinese carrier that had like a bunch of numbers the day before the event. And I kind of just didn't want to look into any of that, because at this point, I'm like, you know what? The event's tomorrow. Let's just wait until we see what the official numbers are. Apple does not give us those numbers here in the US and will not tell us when we ask, which I have asked, and they said they will not tell us. So, yeah, we need to stop going. That's not a metric that anyone knows what that means. So, and even milliamp hours isn't really a good one, because most average people probably don't even know what that is.
And also efficiency goes a long way as well, and that doesn't really account for that. So, for example, Apple's integrated the new Bluetooth and Wi-Fi chip, the N1. That also contributes to efficiency savings.
I think there just needs to be a different way to measure this. You know, don't just do video. Do video for a few, like gather people's data from their battery and the apps that they're using the most, and then run those apps in some sort of lab. And like how, you know, for the amount of hours that people do, there should be some sort of like study that we can opt into so that we can get a better sense of how people are using their phones, whether it's filming something, watching a video, being on social media, writing up stuff, your screen brightness, like all of that stuff applies. So anyways, the battery's bigger. That's the moral of the story on the Pro Max, and the Pro as well. All the phones got bigger batteries now. So, I mean, I'm obviously going to go Pro Max every year. I always go back and forth between the Pro and the Pro Max, but I think I just got to go Pro Max again. And it feels fantastic in the hands. The aluminum, I was always a fan of aluminum. I didn't mind when they went over to titanium, but I didn't mind the aluminum. I thought that was plenty good. And it just feels great. It's a good phone from the 10 minutes that I had with it. What are you looking at? I'm guessing you're going silver.
I'm going silver, and I am leaning toward the iPhone 17 Pro.
You're not going Pro Max.
My calculation is that I think adding a case is going to add a lot of bulk. And I've used my iPhone 16 Pro without a case, and I actually don't like it. I miss the sort of sturdiness of a case. And especially when I put it down on a surface, I don't like how it's sort of wobbly and rickety. And I don't like the feeling when I put the phone down. So I need something to dampen that, and I would feel more comfortable with a case. But obviously when you add a case, especially Apple's cases, they do add quite a lot of thickness. So considering that the phone is going to me, feel bigger, I think I will go for what I am familiar with and go for the standard size Pro. And I probably will try out TechWoven and see how I feel about that.
Oh man, for Apple's sake, I hope TechWoven is good, because I can just see your tweets now. It's got to be right for them.
It's got to be. Okay. Surely it is.
All right. I got all of the accessories. I do need to test them out. I don't understand the crossbody, but that's because it's not for me. So I'm not going to yuck anyone else's yum. That is a saying that I've heard a lot recently as a parent. I've never heard it before. But my wife seems to love saying it to my kids when they're making fun of things that, you shouldn't when other people enjoy it. So, I'm not going to do that. It's just not something that I would use. Would you use, what are you laughing at? The phrase?
Yeah.
It's just a weird phrase. Anyways, the strap is weird to me, but I'm not going to hate on it. I don't think I would ever use it, but I guess I can see the appeal. Maybe if you're like a cyclist, I don't know. It's like a fashion thing, but like maybe there's some like actual functionality to it. Like, you can't wear pockets you don't have pockets for some reason. So, and you don't carry a purse or anything. Maybe just strap it on. I don't know. Are you going to use it?
I can't say I will, but I do think it will be incredibly popular. And I think also the ability to add like a lanyard, a third-party one, or even like a wrist strap, even if it's not a full crossbody strap from a third party with Apple's cases for the first time, I think is also pretty significant. Yeah.
A lot of accessories. I don't know what this power adapter is. Did you see that? The 40 watt.
Oh, yeah. So it's an adaptive. It's a 40 watt adapter, and then adaptively it can move up to 60 watts for a brief period. So
that's what I thought. It's just random thing that they just dropped. I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness to this event too. Okay, so the 48 megapixel cameras across the board. We're kind of like, this is a long episode, so I want to speed run through most of this. 48 across the board. We already talked about the new telephoto. No real major changes to the ultra and wide, correct? They're still kind of the same sensors. I'm sure there's some improvements somewhere in there, but nothing crazy. You do kind of get a wide range now. As we said before, you can go from 4 to 8x. It's the equivalent of 200 millimeters in a lens size, which is wild. That is very far. So it'll be interesting to test those out. You get 25 watt wireless charging. Help me out. Am I missing anything? That's kind of a iOS 26 thing though. So your iPhone 16 Pro Max could also get 25 watt wireless charging now, correct?
But not the 16 Pro. I think that Apple limits the charging speed.
Okay. Well, that's weird. I'm going to have to dive more into like what's being limited for no reason at all. What else is there?
I mean, there's a lot of specific camera features like Gen Lock support, Pro RAW.
Yeah. Pro RAW, that's going to be good. I'm going to have to try that out for sure. But I know these are for creators and this is a pro phone, but I still think that a lot of slightly above average tech users are using the Pro Max as their daily. I mean, my wife uses an iPhone 16 Pro Max. Like, it's just because she wanted a large phone with the best cameras, but she ain't going to be using Pro RAW at any point or even knows what Gen Lock is. So like, yeah, I mean, those are features that you get if you need them. What else is there? We got the orange we talked about. I love the plateau. I love that we have a name for it now. But like just the aluminum going across, I just think it looks so nice. The two-tone design. The secondary tone of orange I don't necessarily love, but it's understandable. Yeah, that's all the phones. It was quite an event. I was very happy with it. You are too?
I was very happy with it. I do think the Apple Watch Series 11 in particular was a letdown. But other than that, I think it was good.
I'm trying to think of anything else here before we wrap it up. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the A19 Pro chip performance is wild. The numbers that you get. It's the equivalent of an M2 MacBook Pro, right?
And that is the next generation of Apple Silicon. So we're expecting this to basically be the M5 chip, which is right around the corner and probably will be coming to the iPad Pro in the next month or so.
Crazy. Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, eSIM for some. No eSIM for iPhone Air, though. No SIM card for iPhone Air. It is eSIM only globally. They were able to make it work somehow for like countries like China that requires a SIM card. So that's interesting, I guess. Maybe. I don't know if anyone finds that interesting, but yeah. Oh, you know what? Real quick, we forgot to mention the live translation for the AirPods.
Oh, yeah. Well, this also comes to other models.
It does. That's what I kind of wanted to get at, that it's not a specific AirPods Pro 3 feature. That was really all I wanted to say.
Still very cool, though.
Yes. And I did get to test that out, and it worked really well. Although I'm guessing. I don't actually know what the person was saying to me because they were speaking another language. So what was being told to me sounded right. Sounded like something in that setting that should have been said. But yeah, I cannot confirm whether that was actually true. So that's the kind of risk you're taking with Apple. It could be saying something completely different and you'd have no idea. Okay, so yeah, that's the event. I'm going to give it what score would you give it out of 10?
I think this was a good 7 out of 10.
I was going to say 8.5. So yeah, you're only because that actually 1.5 because of the orange. So
yeah, that makes sense for you.
And Pro Mac or Pro Red. Oh my God, what am I talking about? Pro Motion across the board finally happened. So you get a little golf clap for that. All right, yeah. Be sure to hit us up. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of comments, good and bad, about the event. Just know that we didn't do any of this, so no need to take it out on us. We're just relaying the news.
I thought you personally designed the iPhone Air.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, certainly. I was actually surprised. I was helping out Tim Cook and everything, and Mr. Beast. It was us too. We were the ones that did it. So, all right, we'll catch everybody next week.